How's it going, guys? Dylan from Luxury Lives On, and I hope everyone's doing well today. The 1980s were unapologetically weird, and that's probably why it's my favorite era. You see, the people of the 1980s were futurists. They thought what everything was going to look like, well, was going to look like this, and unfortunately they might have been wrong, but that's what makes it such a charming era. It was an era known for neon lights, calculator watches, and a lot of cocaine.
It's not exactly pretty, is it? What it is striking, and that's probably putting it politely.
But the point of this car wasn't to be a model. It probably was more to evoke feelings of space travel, if anything. I mean, you get the sense that the design team was tasked in making sharp angles and straight lines. In fact, I think the goal was probably futuristic because, well, futuristic meant cool, and that's probably why this car looks the way it does. It always fascinates me when a car hits the status of iconic, like this DeLorean behind me, because even though most of us car lovers don't want to believe it, people just don't really care about cars. A lot of them, it's point A to point B, except if you ask anyone in the general public, I guarantee they'll probably know what a DeLorean is. And yes, it's partly due to the fact that it was part of the famous movie Back to the Future, but what's so iconic about this car is not that millions have seen it, it's that it almost seems to be the plot of the movie. Back to the Future seems to be about a DeLorean, and that's what's so cool about this car. Today I'm not talking to you guys about the performance aspects of the DeLorean, and that's mainly because, well, they're depressing. In fact, they probably rival that of a World War II aircraft carrier on rough waters with the engine turned off. It's slow, but what I will tell you is the way it looks. In fact, much like a Countach was designed to go to space, the aerodynamics, well, most likely wouldn't allow for it because all of these 80s cars, let's face it, are bricks. They're giant squares that look like they're fast and generally aren't. This car, I will talk to you about 3 really awesome points that make it, well, futuristic and awesome looking. So if you were living in the 1980s and you had the, well, dilemma that most of us have, how do I get a car with awesome doors? You had very few options. You see, you could pay a ton of money and buy a Countach, or, well, you could go back in time and get a 300 SL with gull-wing doors. But either way, you end at this because, well, this does go back in time and it already has gull-wing doors. How cool is that? Now you're probably thinking to yourself, my God, Dylan, they forgot to paint that car, how cheap. Or how brilliant, because, well, it's brushed aluminum, and not only did they not have to paint it, but it only made it look more futuristic. This is so cool, and it's even cooler that a factory would let a car come out like this. Now, originally I was going to film this section through the window. But you see, that won't quite work. So instead I'm going to talk to you about this cool interior from here with the door open, which is probably the way it should be. The interior looks like an arcade game. Everything is square, everything is very clear, and, well, everything looks fairly dated. But that gives this car a hell of a lot of charm. I just hope I don't cut my head off when I close this door. Oh God. Good. Now at the end of the DeLorean's life, things got a little turbulent. You see, the founder, John DeLorean, well, was slightly filmed accepting money for drug trafficking, but that's all hearsay. Regardless, they didn't have the money to, well, fund the company, and this, unfortunately, was the only model. And that's made these cars rare. In fact, these cars used to trade between 10 and 20,000, and now not only do people realize they're rare, but all the people that grew up with these cars with the poster on their wall can now afford them and want them. So they're climbing in the 60s and even more, and deservingly so. It's such a cool car. But an interesting anecdote is, well, because the factory closed prematurely, for many years they actually had parts for these cars where they could make them brand new. That's right, you could commission your own brand new DeLorean, and you didn't even have to time travel to do it. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's not my intention to just go to dealerships and film cars. What really, motivates me is to do interesting things. I love cars. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing it for money, for fame, whatever it is. I go and do these things regardless, so I figured I might as well film them. And this DeLorean is just a subject that is so interesting, so iconic, and so beloved, so that I had to do it. I want to thank Symbolic International for giving me an amazing opportunity to film this car again. Hopefully we can see even more of their awesome cars in the future. Check out the link in the description if you want this perfect DeLorean, 5,000 miles. It's just a copy that you probably would want. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you want to see more of my content, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Peace.